Du-du-du-du-du-du.
Michael, it says we are live. Are we live?
We are recording, yes, but we're not live like anywhere out in the world.
Okay.
The
Okay.
studio's live. We are recording, so this is just going to be one of those moments where we get things set up or whatever. In studio recording
Got it.
will be on. Okay. So, ooh, well, that's nice. Okay. Can't drop that little guy. Otherwise, I can't control things. Okay, so this is this CXN strategic partner spotlight series that we're starting and launching with the two of you, which I'm really excited about. Both because you guys are at the cutting edge of doing some really fascinating things, both with AI and in your business model. And I feel like it's going to be one of these really interesting conversations. I feel like it's going to spark something further down the road where we get to have both of you back to talk with clients and members of chambers about what you do specifically, but also how it benefits them and makes their lives easier and better in so many different ways. And then Matt Aponte will do a chamber member spotlight on you next, specifically on Vox. Today's celebration, or at least spotlight, is focused on Arjun and Zinc AI. So with that, we will go ahead and get started.
I'm gonna move. Hold on. There's too much of an echo in this thing, even for me.
Are you sensing it? I can turn on echo cancellation if you'd like on this side too.
No, this is a lot better. I'm
Better?
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure it's also better for you guys too.
Perfect. And then don't be, if you have to take a break or you need to like pause for a moment, get a drink or a sip or something like that, just raise your hand because we'll cut all that in post-production and then reassemble all this, which you guys are familiar enough with. You understand the process of that, right?
Right. Yep.
Perfect.
Cool.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Chamber Exchange Network's feature spotlight series, their strategic partner spotlight. Today, we are joined with two powerhouse partners, Arjun Sundarajan, and founder of Zinc AI, and Matt Aponte, founder of Vox AI Marketing. Both are strategic partners of the Chamber Exchange Network. We're very proud of that. And Matt is also a proud member of the Colorado Springs Chamber of Commerce. Matt's company, Vox AI Marketing, sits at the forefront of helping businesses transform and become truly AI ready, especially in these AI days, from AI-powered websites to true answer engine optimization, intelligent voice agents, and automated lead generation. Vox AI is delivering measurable ROIs and making sure that businesses don't just keep pace, but that they lead. Arjun's company, Zinc AI, is now redefining how executives and leadership teams, as well as busy business owners, show up with clarity and consistency. Without the traditional time, cost, or production overhead of content creation, Zinc AI helps busy leaders turn their thinking and experience and expertise into high-quality content through focused AI-powered content sprints that respect your voice, your judgment, and your intent. The results, of course, aren't just more content, it's better signal delivered faster and at a fraction of the cost of traditional methods. So before we jump into our partnerships and tools, let's get started with the bigger picture. Arjun, in your own words, what problem does Zinc AI exist to solve and who feels that pain the most?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks, Michael, for having me over here. This is awesome. Um, the the biggest pain point, as you can see, founders and business owners, as well as leaders, there's a big push towards building their personal brands or building their authority and seeing themselves as thought leaders in that space. And this push is not just coming from sort of the personal ego, but it's from a business perspective. They are seeing that having a great personal brand drives inbound leads better. You're more likely to be seen as an authority, and they would like more likely to take calls with you. And so mostly founders have already started doing this, but they are also starting to push in the employee advocacy style, pushing their other execs to also build personal brand around themselves. So for all these people, personal brand is not just become important; it's now a necessity at this point of time. And you can see how AI has commoditized these whole text-based conversations. Like, you post something on LinkedIn and everybody's pouring and looking at whether this was generated by ChatGPT or is this person really talking about this. And so
Yes.
the frontier of it, I mean, like where it stands right now is, if you want to build that true trust and authentic connection with your audience, video is starting to emerge as the leading way that you communicate with people. And in that sense, algorithms of all these other social media like LinkedIn or YouTube and everybody is starting, like even Twitter or so, is starting to prioritize video, and it's going to become the true way that people would like connect with you. So and so with that both in forefront, we are like now thinking like, it's like the idea of creating video content seems daunting for a lot of people. People discount themselves, saying that like, hey, I'm not going to look good on video. Video is not for me, or like it just takes so much time. And so there's just so many gaps in like realizing that thought leadership or personal brand building. So that's kind of where we come into play and like say, how can we make this really simple for you by sort of offloading a lot of the grunt work, but still keep it authentically you. We're not like trying to use AI to generate yourself and like, clone you and like create content with that, but instead like make your true authentic insights be professionally presented to your audience.
Beautiful. And Matt, on your side of the fence, you're a busy CEO and founder of an AI marketing agency. What value do you find in not only the services that Zinc AI brings to the table, but as a business owner who needs to create content to celebrate your brand, to get your brand messaging and narrative out there? How do you see this fitting into the overall model of services business owners and executives could use?
Yeah, so I do want to echo what Arjun is talking about with the AI. I would say content landscape as it's developing. There's so many people out there that are using AI in the way to clone themselves or to create images or content or whatnot. And what I am seeing, which I've kind of called attention to this very early, was so there's going to be a fatigue to that, right? There's going to be people are going to be tired of that inauthentic connection that they're getting online. And so video has always been a wonderful way to connect with your audience. But now that AI is creeping into that space, there's also that huge trust factor of, is this their clone? Is this real? Is this AI? And as a professional, a CEO, a founder, a leader of a company or a brand, that's not really something that you can risk, taking on, because especially in the whole political and global landscape, trust is at an all-time low across the board, and so people want to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. However, the challenge that Zinc is able to meet, and with that gap that's always been there, is creating good content with you in front of the camera takes time, takes effort, takes a level of expertise, takes a lot of preparation. And that's one of the reasons why even me, coming from the video production world, 15 years ago, it's been something that's been a challenge for me as a brand builder and a business builder to be able to keep up with. And so what Zinc AI does is it takes most of that off of your plate. Really, all you have to do is just show up on time and stand in front of the camera or be in front of the camera and read from the script. And admittedly, as much as I've been able to use Zinc AI, I haven't fully been able to benefit from it completely, only due to my own scheduling conflicts. But whenever I am able to sit down in front of that camera and do it, it's so easy, it's so smooth. The quality that comes from it is great, and I think that when we're balancing a world of a lack of trust, and they're demanding higher value, not so much quality, but higher value content that they can actually take and learn from. And you have to fill that gap. And really, I don't know currently of any platform that fills that gap as effectively, as what Arjun and his team has built. And so for me, it's been great so far, and it's going to continue to get better. So we're really excited to be able to utilize it to its fullest.
Well, both of you know I come from a background of media production. I've been in multimedia production for 30 some odd years, and content is not going away. There's just no future where it's going to be AI and content. And those two things are meeting right now at this intersection of what both of you guys are doing, which I think is brilliant. And it's timely, I think, right now going into 2026 to offer this set of services, this introduction to what both you guys are doing at the forefront of these industries to our chamber members. In fact, as part of our Colorado Chamber member beta experience, we're excited to bring these strategic partnerships to the table, which will save you time and, of course, raise your visibility. But let's be real. Today's business leaders, like you were saying, they're expected to be everywhere: LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, blogs, PR, press announcements, keynote speeches, you name it. But who has time or the team with, to do it? Even Matt, you have a team, wonderful team, to create authentic on-brand content week after week after week after week and keep up with it and stay present in the algorithms that keep changing. And I believe that's where Zinc really comes in to play for us here. So just for you chamber members who onboard during this beta phase, you'll get an exclusive access to Zinc AI's executive content sprint program guided by AI-powered systems. We'll share more of that later on as we get further into the features and functionalities. So Arjun, in your own words, I already asked this, didn't I? Cut. So what personal or professional moment made this problem so real for you that you had to build Zinc AI?
Yeah, it's a great question. I come from a very technical background. I worked as an engineer at Microsoft for 8 years. I've built like sort of technology that can scale to like millions of people. But then when I started my own company, it was very evident that like, go to market is where it is all at, right? Like you could build the most amazing product that can scale really well, but like if you don't have a vehicle to take it to the market, it all pretty much falls flat. And so from that experience, I realized that there are so many marketing options like cold outreaches and like inbound content and everything that exists. Ultimately I figured that in the early stages people buy from people, or even in any stages people buy from people, but in the early stages more so because your brand is like nothing, right? Like so your personal brand is way more valuable than your company brand at the early stages. So I figured like I needed to start building that. And I don't know where to get started. And I started a podcast series, interviewed like close to like about like 80, 90 people or so. That was fantastic. But just the amount of time it took to do all of those things was just incredible. Like so hard, and like so hard to like keep a team. Like I had to have a team to manage all of those things and everything. And then I figured like, when I actually like run a podcast, I'm usually showcasing someone else, and like I am not at the forefront. So people like see me less as an authority. So what is the best way to do this? And short form was the way where people were consuming content, and long form podcasts chopped down into short form content was A, tough to do, and B, was not actually really as easy to watch for people when you're trying to like take a big content and then chop it into smaller pieces. And so we figured like, why don't we just start like a short form focused content creation? And that's what will help us launch Zinc's solo studio, as we call it, right? Like a way for you to jump in, take 5 minutes, record a video that takes 1 to 2 minutes of the final production video, and then the entire editing. And I think Matt said it really well, where you're not really looking to make it like so much high professional like editing and everything. You want it to be like 80-90% good, because that's when like people, that's become like kind of the staple. People want to watch it. They don't want to watch like a blurry video. But at the same time, like doing it consistently over a period of time is way more valuable than like trying to get like that one perfect video that's like superbly edited. So like focused a lot more on consistency and enough on the product finesse and finish, which landed us in Solo Studio. But I also like took all that experience from the podcast world, and we have launched what is called as a collab studio or a collab video, which is a way for us to not just leverage your expertise, but to see how you can turn your network into content, basically podcast, but in an asynchronous short form focused way to do it. So I have had an opportunity to like, send out a question to Matt as a link, and then Matt can just respond to it, and then we stitch that as a podcast style video, making it so easy for Matt. We're not like scheduling, setting a time and everything, but being able to like create content and share our expertise, and then expand our audience. So now my audience are going to see Matt, and Matt's audience are going to see me, and this is a great way to expand your audience. And so,
Well, let's
happy
talk a
to
little
tell
bit
you more
about
that.
we're going to dive a little bit further into that because I want your perspective. In full transparency, both Matt and myself have produced podcasts. We understand what it takes to get that content out there, to produce it, to write the scripts, to do all the things that it takes to create these things. So Matt, when he's talking about the ease of which you can join and have that conversation as well as expanding your network, what's your experience so far on that side of the fence?
Yeah, it's actually been very easy. You go into the studio, you click a couple buttons. It really walks you through, to make sure your mic is good, make sure you're in a good setting for lighting. To look at, here's the script. Even their system puts together a script for you, but you can go in there and edit and tweak it if you want to your liking. And then you just go in and you say, "I'm ready," and it breaks down the sentences into little recording pieces, so if you get one wrong you can do it over again, and then you just go right through. And if you're not a perfectionist like me, it will take just a couple of minutes, where mine might take still 5 to 7 minutes, but still at the end of the day, 5 to 7 minutes for one video is unheard of, to be able to have a really good high quality finished piece. And it's been very simple. I really like how there's a lot of hand holding, even for somebody like me who has a ton of experience in the space. It's just easy not to have to think about what to do next. And I think that's really where Zinc shines. Is not only is the end piece quality and the experience easy, but you don't have to think a lot. And as CEOs and CXOs and founders and high performing entrepreneurs or brand representatives, that's one of the things, is you're spending so much mental power doing everything else. And if you can just kind of have that taken off of your shoulders, like, look, just show up and practice your script a couple times, record it, boom, it's done, we'll take care of the rest. That's where I feel that it really shines a lot.
I think that's one of the key areas that you touched on, is just the mental game that's required to be on point with your brand and your narrative all the time. And one of the things I did a test drive with Zinc AI too, and I can tell you, having done thousands of productions and interviews and things, the ease with which I was able to not only speak the words that were on the screen because they were my words, and Zinc had done the research to find phrases and things that I typically would say and put them together for me in a very, very sensitive and understanding and impactful and meaningful way. I was able to say those lines and those words very quickly and easily because they were technically my own. I've said them before in multiple occasions. And so I was very fascinated at how quickly and easily Zinc knew me and understood my brand and my narrative so quickly, and how we could capture that very fast, then pull it all together into one seamless version of content that I was just blown away at how quickly it was easily done for me, which is the brilliant part. Because, like, I know, Matt, if you're like me, where we're both perfectionists, I will spend so much time in post-production trying to perfect everything in a world where everybody just wants authenticity, which sometimes means less is more. You could get bogged down in the perfectionism of it all. I do like what you said earlier about you don't want it to be perfect. You want it to be just sort of like that 3.8 star. It's like that secret Chinese restaurant. You don't want the 5-star restaurant. You don't want the 3.4. You want that 3.8, that sweet spot that's in there. So, Arjun, when you look at how most organizations approach executive content, what do you think they're missing at a fundamental level, if anything at all?
Yeah, I think this is changing significantly in the recent past. As I said, like before, there used to be these executives who are like sort of invisible and they're silent, and employee advocacy was not even a thing that people considered. But right now, if you really look at it, companies are realizing the value of that, building that exec's brand, and they are like trying to empower them, like requiring, even like I was just talking to somebody at Amazon, and they were saying that like how their execs are like expected to like start posting on LinkedIn and everything else as well. So
Yeah.
it's starting to become a thing over there. And I noticed that like when it comes to like starting to build that brand and authority, there's typically like about 4 gaps that happen for all these people, right? Like one is that tactical gap, which is the obvious one, where like I don't have the time, I don't have the mental bandwidth to go and like figure out what to speak and like what topics should I be talking about, and then like going and editing that video or like doing all of those things. Like that's a big gap for people. And then there is the strategic gap is many people are not like quite aware from a marketing perspective, because if you are like say like a chief information officer, like if you ask them to like create videos, they would be like, they'll go either too much into the details or something like that. Strategic thinking of like, hey, I'm building a brand, this is my audience, this is the kind of content that I'm doing, this is my style, this is my voice, and understanding that strategy, and then understanding where you should distribute. Like, should I post on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, like depending on where it is. So there is that strategic gap that many people have. Even like really big leaders don't have that sense of how to build their brand around it. And then there is the consistency gap, which is what you see almost always. And I see that, like, you're very excited, you're like bought in on the idea, you do it once, and then you feel like, oh, I can do all of these things. And then like you realize that like, consistency is the name of the game, and you have to do this over and over again.
Such a big challenge, staying consistent.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think doing it once is easy. Doing it every day, every week, and doing it at that same quality and quantity is the harder part. And then there is the mindset gap, which I'm noticing largely like coming from like a very engineering background. There is a certain set of people who always discount themselves, saying that, hey, what am I going to say that someone else has not already said? Or like, why am I going to, is video even the right thing for me? And so people just discount themselves and don't build their authority because of that gap. The imposter syndrome kicks in sometimes. Sometimes people are just thinking that video is too hard to crack, or like that mindset gap exists. So the content sprint program that we've designed is basically like meant as a way to like kind of bridge these gaps and then like make it really easy. So all you're doing is showing up, and like we're able to like lift the bulk of the work that needs to be done.
I love it. I think you're right. I love the 3 different gaps that you focus on. I think that it's very true. We can easily fall into either one of those, right? And then get bogged down into the messiness of trying to solve one specific issue before we go live or before we read a word off the page, because our brain's getting in the way, our ego's getting in the way. And speaking of that, Matt, I'm going to shoot this one to you, and then Arjun, I'd love you to comment on it. How do you see content either amplifying or undermining an executive's credibility?
Well, I think we've touched on this a little bit, but the people want to connect with the people behind the business. We're very steadily, and we have been for a few years now, transitioning out of as long as there's a logo there and they have a good mission statement, we're cool with doing business with them. Now we want to know who is the owner, who's the team, what's their mission, what do they stand behind, etc. We want to have that connection. And so for a founder, CEO, business owner, etc., that letting people be able to connect with you is a huge leverage point that you can use. And content, especially video content, is probably to date the best way that you can do that without actually being in front of people. And like I touched on this a little earlier too, with the advent of AI and also the whole time crunch that everybody's under, one might lean more towards, let's automate this, let's get content out, that kind of a thing using AI. But you can really risk damaging, everything that you've built for, or everything that you're trying to build, by leaning too heavily on that. I do think that AI and automations have a place as maybe a supplement through text or images, etc. But when it comes to really trying to communicate your brand, your presence, who you are, so that way people can connect with you, video is, and you yourself, not a clone, is the best way to do it. And touching on the clone thing, it's been becoming more and more common, even on YouTube, where people are like, hey, this is me, it's my clone, I'm not even here, that kind of a thing. And after you watch a lot of those videos, scary part is it probably will get better over time, but I think as humans, we're always going to be able to spot that because it's just this soul deep thing that we know when another soul is speaking to us, so to speak. But I noticed that now I'm getting tired of seeing these. It may look great, it may sound great, but there's this narrow band of emotional tonal range and emotions that their AI clone can experience. And so it's just kind of like, sure, the information might be good, it might be valuable and beneficial, but I find myself already getting fatigued on that, and it's not even super common. Not everybody's doing it. And so I think for founders and business owners, they have to be able to balance that, and they're going to be able to going to need to keep a real close eye on that for themselves to grow.
And Arjun, what are your thoughts on that? We were talking about how this either amplifies or undermines an executive's credibility. We were talking about how it can help build authenticity, but how can it also undermine that authenticity, perhaps if it's not used correctly, or if executives and business owners are not familiar with the traps surrounding it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the amplifying part of it is like the easy thing to talk about, right? Like, where if you are starting to like post consistently, you are going to start to like, even in the first few weeks of you like posting content, you're going to start seeing simple qualitative metrics that you will see where around someone is going to reach out to you and say like, hey, I saw that video that resonated quite a bit with me, or like, I know I want to like talk to you because you said about those things. And or in they would be in a sales call or something, and they would say like, it's like, yeah, I know what you're saying because I already watched that video of yours. Like, it's like those are like very, very clear ways that like it's amplifying your personality into their lives, their mind share, and that is like worth it in itself, where you are slowly like starting to be a familiar face for them, and it actually makes it so much easy for them to do business with you, especially if you bring your true personality. And that true personality is the part that like Matt like really said really well, is like people want to see you in the mistakes that you make, in the ums and ahs that you do and everything. So I often tell people that like, it's okay to leave those things in, because it brings out who you truly are. And when you do that, that has the power of amplifying. But the common things that undermines their credibility is exactly what you're saying. You're taking shortcuts. You're trying to like, in the name of like making it more efficient, you're trying to like undercut. I mean, you're taking your audience for granted, or you're trying to like give them something that's not authentically you. That's when it starts to like undermine. I mean, granted, there are other ways and other pitfalls that you can fall into, where like you take something very political or like something that is not there, and you actually like accidentally like sort of piss off a few people. But there's a slight balance over there. I've seen so many founders who like sort of tread in that controversial zone just to like sort of propagate their value. And I mean, controversy like sells, clicks sells, right? Like, so people often click like shit takes and like hot takes and myth busting when you actually are like trying to put down somebody and talk about it. In my opinion, like, if that's who you are, then you need to bring that authentic self to video yourself. But if you are somebody else doing that just for the sake of trying to get that viral video going, is going to always backfire. You want to stay authentic to who your style is. Like, so one of the things that we do at Zinc is like try to understand what's your style. Some people are really good storytellers. They talk about like what's happened in their life. And some people are really good at educational. They break it down and say like, these are 3 things that you need to do. And they are like really good at that kind of content. So we need to understand what's your voice, what's your style of videos, and then try to align it with that. And trying to copy somebody else is a very surefire way of like losing that authenticity and falling pretty flat.
Well, it's also a quick way of finding out who you are not compared to who you are. by attempting to try to pretend to do or pull off what somebody else has done, you'll find very quickly who you are and whether or not it resonates with you. So let's make this a little bit more concrete for the audience. Arjun, if you could just walk us through what an executive content sprint would actually look like in practice. For example, let's just use Matt as our business owner and what his experience was, and talk about from the beginning, how it gets introduced, the links that get sent, the experience. And then Matt, if you'll have a conversation and weigh in on what that was like for you in the receiving end as a client.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we put a lot of emphasis on making it really easy for the creator, as we call them, right? Like, so you want it to they're busy individuals, they're busy founders. So the first step that we do is like a quick discovery call. This is mostly for people who don't know what Zinc is. We just walk them through like, this is our methodology, this is our process, and we walk them through that. It's like usually like a 20-30 minute call, and we like kind of do a discovery call on that side. And then when they're bought in and they say like, okay, let's just go ahead and sign up for this and like get going on this, that's when we schedule an onboarding call. This is like an 1 hour call. And in this call, what we would do is understand the strategy. Like we talked about like how that strategic gap is like very important and trying to like nail that down. So we'll work towards understanding who you are, who your audience is, what niche should you target first, what is going to be like your strategy for the next 3 months, what are the content pillars, and then also talk about what is your style, what is the way that you do it. In that 1 hour, we would like understand and build a personal brand strategy for that person. And then we would also schedule 2 times a month, about like 30-45 minutes in their calendar. We just put a session on their calendar for their recording time. We largely believe in these kind of behavioral changes. If you're someone who doesn't do this, if you have it in your calendar and you're a leader, you're more likely to just get that done. So we just put that in your calendar and sort of get that just 2 sessions, 30-45 minutes. And then during that onboarding call, we would also like, demo the product, make sure that like you're familiar with the technology, help you set up like a reasonable studio with your like the we call it the ABCDE check, right? Like the audio is good, the background is good, the camera is good, the diffused lighting is good, the environment is good, and like all these things. And we make sure that like you're ready for recording. And so the onboarding is packed. It's 1 hour, and then like you're ready for that point of time. From then on, it's just a sprint that goes. Every sprint is 2 weeks, so you're like doing 2 sessions a month. And in that sprint, if that's, let's say it's Tuesday 4 p.m. is your recording time, about like 48 hours before that, we would basically research and send you topics that you would be covering that sprint. This would be, and we would take input from you because you know your audience best. So if you have any ideas, any thoughts, you could just send us a quick note via email or whatever it is, and then we would capture all that insights from you. We will do research, like how Michael, you mentioned, like we will do research on like some of the past content that you've created and everything, and like extract like meaningful things that can be converted into video from that. We're also looking at your audience and see what are they searching for, what are they like looking for, and what are some of the things that are trending that week that they care about. And like we come up with all of these and like say, this is like 6 topics that you want to 6 videos that you want to create today. So we take 5 or 6 videos, and then we would script it out. Obviously, there is a way to write a video script, which is making it more convenient for people to consume it. Put the real value in the first couple of lines to have a good hook, and then like script it out. Don't make it too long. All that insights in, we create the video script based off of that, and then like just send you a link. So your job is 48 hours later, you receive that link. You can quickly like look at it. If you see like all these things look good, that's fine. But if not, you can actually like ask us to like make any changes or edits or anything like that. Or you can do that yourself as well. And then the day of the recording, you just jump in and then they go 1 video at a time. Again, as I said, like takes 5 to 6 minutes per video. So in about like 30 minutes, you're able to get done with like 5 to 6 videos there. And you're able to do this recording really fast because, as Matt mentioned, we help you break it down into segments. You're not like memorizing like a 90-minute session and like trying to like talk through it. Instead, you're just doing like 1 or 2 lines at a time. We call it segments. And then you make a mistake in any segment, you can always go and like redo that segment. So it makes it really easy. You can look at a preview of how things are coming so far and then like make any corrections if required. The recording takes really fast. After you do like a few videos, it becomes like so easy that like you're only taking like 5 minutes or less for recording 1 video. And then after your recording session is over, 24 hours after that, our team, as well as like our AI, is sort of working to like making that video, polishing it to something that's like really professional. This includes like adding captions and titles and logos and like colors and like background separation and like putting like videos behind you and like icons and all of those things that our AI as well as like our human in the loop would like help in like creating a publish ready video. Again, to Matt's point, it's like it's not the goal to make it so professionally edited, but the idea is you want it to look good for people to consume and start taking you seriously. And so you get it to that level, and then we schedule it in your content calendar. So we create a content calendar for you, and we look at many different platforms, whether that's LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, or your website, all of these things, or YouTube Shorts. All of these channels are like directly plugged into our system. So you are, we schedule it into the calendar. So it goes out like, it's like, oh, next Monday, one goes out next Tuesday, like it goes out on YouTube, and like we actually like schedule it. And then over the next 2 weeks, that 5 to 6 videos get sort of scheduled for like public release. And we will share that content calendar with you within the next 24 hours after your recording, so you can review it, make any edits if needed. So we're building all the packaging for the social media, the thumbnails and the descriptions and the hashtags as needed. And we're just creating that content and then like having it ready for you. And then it just goes out automatically after on that time. And if you are doing these collaborative videos, which means that like in your recording session, we would have you record one person, one question for somebody in your network, and we would have you record that. And then we would actually like, the system would automatically send out a notification to your collaborator. And so they can actually just one click respond to it. And the minute they respond to it, you're getting like these collab videos. And we are also scheduling that, editing it and scheduling it for your next sprint as well. So this is kind of the process. It goes on for 2 weeks, and then we keep doing this. And then like every 3 months or so, we will kind of review it, see if it actually strategically is working for you. And then we would like make any iterations to the content pillars if needed and adjust the strategy based on
that. The process it doesn't sound complicated once you do it, right? Once you get in there, Matt. The way he's describing it sounds pretty straightforward, but from a business owner standpoint, all of those things are wrapped up in sort of like a bow for you. Was that your experience from your side? And were there any specific parts of the process that stood out for you that you really enjoyed and appreciated that are different from, let's say, you producing your own content or the challenges you faced doing it yourself?
Yeah, so I think I've just a little bit of history of my challenges in the past. I have an Instagram channel that years ago I started, and I got up to 24,000 followers. And that was through daily posting either an image or a short video clip. And that took a ton of effort. And after you kind of get burnt out, honestly, on that, and your consistency drops, well, the algorithm no longer serves you or feeds you. And so it is more the consistency than the quality, which really rewards you on social media with content, and even with humans, because they get to see you in front of them more often. And so for me, one of the big challenges with making that content was, number one, making the time for that and having that scheduled time every day or every week or whatever it was. But number two, it was researching. What do I want to say? How do I want to say it? That itself, putting the scripts together, is time consuming. And then even if you have a prompt on your cell phone, it's the speed. Is the speed right? And oh wait, I missed that. And then let me get that right. And then recording it. And once that's done, then cutting it up. And I optimized my process to a point to where I thought it was pretty good, because I was doing everything on my smartphone. So this way I didn't have to work on my camera, or on my laptop rather. And
Right.
I was editing and CapCut and all those things. So there was just a lot of time with that. Now with Zinc, what I loved was that I really just sat down, looked through the script, picked the topic that I want, that they had prepared for me from, they've already done all their research on me, who I am, what I want to talk about, my audience, etc. And so I just picked the topic that I wanted to choose, go in there. I looked at the script, made a couple small little tweaks and changes, and there I am. I'm in front of the camera, make sure my lighting is good, etc. And you just hit record. What I really enjoyed about it was the ease of being able to hit record, just hit the space bar, start talking into it. and you read the script, and then when you're done, you're done. The first couple times took me a little longer, but then after that, it just gets easier because you're familiar with the flow. So there really isn't one aspect that stands out that they make easier. It's really the whole thing, because then it comes with the posting, right? And they have the platforms connected, so it's all posted and scheduled for you, etc. And so there's it from the whole part of ideation to the part of posting. There's a ton of work that goes into that, and Arjun and his team have done an amazing job of being able to streamline that. I think as probably at this point as best as could possibly be done. And so that's been my experience with it. It's very I would say it takes about 90% of the hassle off of your plate, because 10% is showing up and being yourself and reading on the screen.
I think that's brilliantly put and brilliantly said. Thank you, Matt, for sharing that. Before we close, if each of you could just share what's one misconception about AI and in executive content production that you wish more people understood. Matt, we'll start with you, and then Arjun next.
A misconception about AI, and content, specifically. Well,
Yeah, I think from an executive standpoint, like what's a misconception executives have or busy business owners have about either AI or content or both, that maybe something you wish they understood better.
well, I think one thing that I think that all people that are interested in creating content for themselves is not really understanding at this point is the level of distrust, and personal displacement that AI is bringing to the world. That is something that I truly feel strong about. Whereas there could be this huge time that is removed from people because AI is just spitting all this content out about you. But what you're doing is a lot more damaging on the back end. And I think the misconception is that you don't have to be human anymore and be involved in the process. When in reality, AI is pushing people, because I believe that now AI is stepping a little more out of its place of where it's supposed to be. And what that's doing is it's pushing the human connection out. And what we need to do is put AI back in its place to where it automates the mundane and allows us to be more human. And I think that's something that all executives really need to think about, because it can structure and frame everything that they do as they continue to move forward and implement AI in every aspect of their business.
And Arjun, I'll put that same question to you. What's one misconception about AI executive content you wish perhaps your clients better understood or your audience better understood?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like what Matt said is a very important point, and I want to like say that that's probably what I would have also said. But the other thing that I would probably say is when you actually like come across an AI tool, people like take it for granted that like if it's helping me doing something, it automatically means that it's going to like take away all of my work. Like the misconception is like AI is going to like take away 90% of this work automatically is the misconception that people have. And it doesn't happen mostly that way, is because the thing that's holding people back is largely their behavior and the habits that they have built. And that's what is keeping people behind from like sort of showing up. And no AI, I mean, as AI might actually simplify these things, but like ultimately, like if you are looking for that, you either have to change the whole paradigm or like you're having to like subtly change your behavior. Then only AI can help you, because if, as Matt rightly mentioned, if you don't show up, then like no AI is going to help you. Like it's like it's not going to like help you magically do the work for you if you don't do that small bit of work. Granted, now it's really small. It's only you're doing that 10% of the work, but it's important for you to like show up. And if it's not part of what you already do, it's going to be like pretty hard.
And so for me, what stands out isn't it's not just the tech, but it's about the respect for time, clarity, and our authentic voice that come together and helping leaders show up consistently without losing themselves during the process. Arjun and Matt, thank you so much for sharing your thinking, of course, your life and your story behind how this came about, and of course your work, the brilliant work done at the forefront of AI and content creation. Arjun with Zinc AI, and Matt with Box AI Marketing. If you're in the CXN network and you want to see how more of this works for your chamber members or your personal business, look forward to next steps and the community feed. Of course, reach out to any one of us here on CXN on the platform, and I'll be putting links below and contact information in the bio and in the feed. So thank you guys so much. Is there anything you'd like to say before we close out, Matt?
No, thank you so much, Arjun, for the opportunity to use Zinc, and thank you, Michael, for allowing me to be on the call today.
Of course, Arjun.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael. I think I appreciate you putting this together and really thoughtful questions over here. And I appreciate you, Matt, for like actually sharing a lot of your view of this and like telling how Zinc helped in your world. And that was really nice to hear as well. And for everybody who's watching, yeah, I mean, feel free to like connect with either of us or at least me on like LinkedIn. And like if you have any questions or through the CXN network, and I'm happy to answer any personal branding queries, even if you are not like taking up Zinc as well. So yeah, it's thanks for everything.
So in alignment with the Chamber Exchange Network, which is to help small business owners and executives succeed, this is about making content creation effortless so that you can focus on what you do best. So thanks you for joining us today and our strategic partner Spotlight. More to come in the future. Thanks for joining us today. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And cut. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
How do you feel that went?
I think I'm great.
Yeah? Okay, good. If you have any notes for me or whatever, please feel free to send them via email. I'll be putting this together in post, and I'll be asking for a couple of graphics packages from each of you, celebrating and showcasing Zinc on one side, and then, of course, Box on the other, which we'll put at the beginning of the graphics package and intro. Yeah, and that's about it. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to like seeing the final output of this and like sharing it in my network as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great
Likewise.
day. Okay.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.